Look at your own eyes. Brown, blue, green, gray, hazel. A color handed to you at birth, locked in before you ever opened them for the first time. But why? Why do humans come in so many different shades when almost every other primate on Earth has dark brown eyes? The answer goes back much further than most people expect. It starts in Africa, tens of thousands of years ago, with a single pigment and a planet that was already trying to protect you from the sky above you. The pigment is called melanin. It's the same substance that darkens your skin and your hair, and the amount of it packed into your iris determines everything, not the color of the pigment itself, the amount. Brown eyes have a high concentration sitting in the front layer of the iris. It absorbs incoming light, it blocks it. A brown eye is essentially armor for the sensitive tissue sitting underneath it. People with very dark eyes can have melanin stacked in both the front and back layers simultaneously, absorbing almost everything that enters. Blue eyes have almost none of that melanin in the front layer. And here's what's strange. There's no blue pigment in a blue eye, none at all. What you're actually seeing is physics. Light enters the iris, scatters off the tissue, and bounces back out at shorter wavelengths. That scattering is called the Tyndall effect, the same reason the sky looks blue to you on a clear day. Your blue-eyed friend isn't carrying blue pigment anywhere in their body. They're carrying scattered light. The blueness is an illusion produced by absence. Green eyes work through that same scattering mechanism, but with one extra ingredient layered on top. A yellow pigment called lipochrome combines with the light scattering of the iris stroma, and the result is green. That combination has to be almost perfectly calibrated to land there. Too much melanin and the eye shifts toward hazel. Too little, and it falls back to blue. Green is the rarest eye color on Earth. About 2% of all humans alive today carry it. In Iceland, the number climbs to around 20% in women. Almost nowhere else on the planet comes close to that concentration. Scientists still don't fully understand why Iceland ended up there. Brown eyes cover roughly 79% of the entire human population. That is not an accident. Go back 10,000 years. Every single person on Earth had brown eyes. Not most people, everyone. The American Academy of Ophthalmology has confirmed this. Blue eyes didn't exist yet. Green didn't exist. Hazel didn't exist. Your ancestors all had the same dark iris, packed with melanin, staring out at a world full of ultraviolet radiation that was already trying to burn through them. The melanin wasn't decorative, it was survival. It absorbed UV before it could reach the retina and damage the tissue that made sight possible. Here's where the science gets genuinely strange. More than 50 different genes are involved in determining your eye color. Scientists used to think it was one dominant gene, brown over blue, clean and simple. That turned out to be almost completely wrong. 2 parents with blue eyes can have a brown-eyed child. It's uncommon, but it happens, and it horrified geneticists who had built their models around the simpler story. The gene that matters most is called OCA2. It controls nearly 3/4 of the blue-brown spectrum on its own. But sitting next to it is another gene, HERC2, and a mutation in that gene essentially turns OCA2 down like a dimmer switch. Less melanin output. Iris shifts from brown toward blue. The rest of the visible spectrum falls somewhere in between, shaped by at least a dozen other genes, each making small adjustments that compound across generations. Now here's the part that changes how you look at the person sitting across from you. Every blue-eyed person alive today most likely descends from a single individual. One person. Researchers at the University of Copenhagen traced this back in 2008 and published it in the Journal of Human Genetics. The mutation that suppresses OCA2, the one that produces blue eyes, appears to have occurred only once in human history. It didn't evolve separately in Norway, and then again in Russia, and then again in Ireland. It spread from a single source, one ancestor, somewhere near the Black Sea, between 6,000 and 10,000 years ago, passed this mutation forward, and it radiated outward across Europe and into Central Asia from there. If your eyes are blue, you and every other blue-eyed human on Earth share that one distant relative, all of you. So why did it spread? That's the real question. Blue eyes offer measurably less UV protection than brown. In terms of sheer survival, they seem like a liability at first glance. One leading hypothesis is that lighter eyes may have helped regulate melatonin in low-light northern environments. Higher latitudes mean shorter winter days. Less sunlight means disrupted seasonal rhythms, more depression, more physiological stress on the body. Blue eyes scatter more light inside the eye, which may suppress melatonin release from the pineal gland and reduce the psychological toll of long northern winters. That's not confirmed, but it's the strongest explanation scientists currently have for why a mutation offering less protection from UV radiation managed to spread so successfully into populations that had migrated far away from the equatorial sun. Some eye colors exist almost nowhere else in the animal kingdom at human frequencies. Amber eyes, a solid gold-orange color driven almost entirely by a pigment called pheomelanin, appear regularly in cats, birds, and wolves. In humans, they're nearly unheard of. Heterochromia, where your two eyes are different colors from each other entirely, affects only about 6 in every 10,000 people in the United States. It happens because of genetic variation during early development, minor trauma, or certain medical conditions. And in most cases, it's completely harmless. Your iris simply went a different direction on each side during development. No other visible organ does this. The iris is the only structure in the human body where one person can simultaneously display two entirely different color expressions in the same face, and most people who have it don't even know what caused it. The global distribution of eye color today is a map of human migration written in pigment. Brown eyes dominate in Africa, South Asia, East Asia, and Southeast Asia. Lighter eyes cluster heavily in Northern and Eastern Europe, particularly around the Baltic Sea, where blue eye frequency reaches above 80% in countries like Estonia and Finland. Gray eyes appear most commonly in Iran, Afghanistan, and parts of the Caucasus. Hazel concentrates across the Middle East and Southern Europe. Each cluster is a record of where populations settled, who they interbred with, and which mutations traveled with them across tens of thousands of years of movement. Your eye color isn't just biology. It's a migration record encoded in the front layer of your iris. What's remarkable is that the underlying machinery producing all of this variation is almost identical in every human being alive. Every person has roughly the same number of melanocytes in their iris, the same specialized pigment-producing cells, the same basic structure. The difference is entirely in what those cells are doing, how active they are, how much melanin they're manufacturing, how many melanosomes they're packaging it into per unit of tissue. Brown eyes are not built differently from blue eyes at the cellular level. They're running the same program at a significantly higher output setting. The entire visible spectrum of human eye color, from nearly black to nearly colorless, comes down to a single variable dialed up or dialed down across millions of people over thousands of generations of selection and migration. Eye color can also shift across a lifetime in ways most people don't expect. Most people know that babies are often born with blue or gray eyes that darken noticeably in the first year. The melanocytes in an infant's iris aren't fully activated at birth. As exposure to light increases in the months after delivery, production ramps up and the color deepens toward whatever the genes have set as the eventual target. Some adults also notice gradual shifts across decades. Hormones, cumulative sun exposure, and certain medications can nudge melanin levels in small but visible ways. Hazel eyes in particular seem to shift the most dramatically, picking up more gold or more green, depending on ambient lighting and surrounding colors. This is not the iris changing its fundamental structure. It's the same pigment, the same cells, the same ancient machinery your ancestors carried out of Africa, still responding to the world around it. And the fact that you can stand across a room from a stranger and read the precise color of their iris from 10 feet away, that level of visual resolution built into human perception, you have no idea how